Welcome to Mr. 96's Pop Reviews. My name is Mr. 96. If you're new here, I tend to review 2000s pop music as well as modern pop from time to time, and each December I make top 10 worst and top 10 best hit songs of the year lists. But this year I'm shortening the list to top 5 for a few reasons. For one, this year has been incredibly busy in terms of my day job. For my film class, I just finished directing a short film, which you can find on my personal channel that I'll link in the description, so I simply don't have time to make two 30-minute top 10 lists. Second, I haven't kept up with modern pop as often as I used to, so I don't want to bore you with 5 extra songs I probably wouldn't care about. That's not to say music has gotten worse. In many ways, music this year has actually been pretty good. It's just that chart watching is no longer a hobby of mine, as I'm much more comfortable talking about music history. Here are the guidelines. To be eligible for my list, the song must have charted in the top 60 of the Billboard Hot 100 sometime from January to November of 2024, and its release date cannot be later than August of 2024. Also, if the song was released before September of 2023, it cannot be on the 2023 Year-End Hot 100. But most importantly, this list is completely subjective. All these choices are my personal opinion, meaning you have every right to disagree with me, so I will respect your opinion as long as you respect mine. Look, I know calling this top 5 instead of top 10 will kill this video in the algorithm, but I'm just doing what's best for my sanity. So let's take a look at the top 5 worst hit songs of 2024.
So slow down, take a moment now. We're too young to drown. Deep and dirty waters full of...
In the 9 years I've been on YouTube, I have many regrets. Just 2 years ago, I made the grave mistake of speaking positively about this guy.
I'm vanilla, baby. I'll choke you, but I ain't no killer, baby.
In many ways, Jack Harlow becoming an easy target should have been obvious to me even back then, but part of me just wanted to see a white rapper who could succeed on his own terms without imitating Slim Shady. Now, on the surface, I normally wouldn't put a song like this in my top 5 because it doesn't sound all that bad musically. The beat's okay, and the sample is pretty solid as it's from an obscure 90s song that doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, so ideally this should be a passable filler song, but there are a few problems with that. First, the sampled lines are repeated so often that Jack feels like a guest feature on his own song. But the more glaring issue is that Jack Harlow still thinks Jack Harlow is the coolest person in the world, so the music only highlights how uncool he actually is. The biggest flaw with Jack Harlow in recent years is that his music just stopped being fun. And once the beat started getting worse, his chill confidence made him sound less like a grown man and more like a teenager who thinks playing Call of Duty makes him a grown man. It's unfortunate because his verse in Industry Baby is still fucking amazing, but even when he's put on a decent beat nowadays, his lines have gotten considerably worse.
Young Jackaka, Rico like Suave, young Enrique.
Okay, first off, you're not Enrique Iglesias. You're not as heartfelt, and you're definitely not as charismatic. Also, Rico Suave is not the Suave reference you think it is. Rico Suave is an early 90s song that was goofy even at the time. Even for the meme crowd, why would you unironically use this Gen X one-hit wonder as a symbol of your sex appeal? Even if we judge Jack on the white guys making black music curve, I thought Liam Payne was much more convincing, may he rest in peace. At the very least, you knew for a fact that him getting laid was a guarantee.
She 28, telling me I'm still a baby. I get love in Detroit like Skilla, baby.
Look, I know the song he sampled was from a Detroit artist, but I can't believe Kentucky Mild Chicken here has the gall to say that he's beloved in Detroit. Just a few weeks after this song was released, he performed the halftime show for the Detroit Lions Thanksgiving game and completely bombed on national TV. At least the Lions are still good, unlike my team. I've reached the point now where I'm just done with the guy. I thought he had an opportunity to develop his own niche as a chill party rapper, but by trying to sound more legitimate, he ended up becoming a phony knockoff of himself. You know what? It's been about half a decade, so I think I can properly judge how I feel about this artist. I don't like Morgan Wallen.
Whiskey, whiskey, won't you go away? Come again some other
Whether it's pre-N-word or post-N-word, I just can't relate to or enjoy this guy's music. And no, I don't care that Moneybagg Yo is listed as the main artist of this song. Morgan Wallen sings the chorus and the second verse, so it's basically a Morgan Wallen song with Moneybagg Yo getting a guest verse.
Put you up and hide you on the shelf, I swear I'm through with you.
I don't know why Moneybagg Yo let Morgan Wallen sing a majority of the song, but my best guess is that it's all for marketing. Hip-hop dominated the late 2010s and first few years of the 2020s, but since 2023, country has become the clear dominant force of popular music. As a result, I can only see this as Moneybagg Yo trying to cash in on the country boom by doing the least work and getting an A on the project. It's just unfortunate that it led to this nothing burger of a song. Morgan Wallen sings about two things: alcohol and heartbreak. If you want songs that go outside of his miserable comfort zone, Whiskey Whiskey is not one of them. Really, what that says to me is that Morgan Wallen has become Drake with the twang. Like Drake, his albums are guaranteed to put up amazing numbers, and the length of the albums is too goddamn long. Morgan Wallen hopping on a rap song is nothing new, since he hopped on Broadway Girls by Lil Durk as a sign of faith that he was past the N-word incident. But this new song feels like the converse, where Moneybagg Yo wanted the Morgan Wallen cred. And to me, that's arguably more humiliating because it tells me that mainstream rappers have no pride in their work.
And I'm tired of it, tired of it. We're too young to drown. Deep and dirty waters full of.
Last year, I reviewed a song by David Guetta, who nowadays makes derivative music that lacks any spark of creativity. With David Guetta being a popular producer of the early 2010s, it's only right that this year I critique a popular producer of the late 2010s.
Put some miles on it. Back of the Chevy with the engine running.
Marshmello is a guy who I don't even know what his style is. I'm serious, I can't tell you what makes a Marshmello song what it is. All I know is that I don't like it. Name me any other producer from the 2010s. Calvin Harris, Avicii, Zedd. I can recognize what each of their music sounds like. With Marshmello, I think of him more as a pop producer than an EDM producer, but even for pop, I don't find his music all that catchy. His songs have EDM drops and such, but they feel weightless and unearned, which is why most of his stuff rarely sticks with me. In addition, Marshmello tends to bring out the worst in his artists, especially Kane Brown, as they made a hit song back in 2019 that was also incredibly bad. It's strange for me to say since I'm not necessarily a huge Kane Brown fan to begin with, but Kane's entire image is being a nice guy you can bring home to mom, and Miles on It makes him sound like a horny sex addict.
Just you and me in a truck bed wide like a California king. We could break it in if you know what I mean.
You see, by break it in, he's talking about how he wants to break his penis into her vagina because he considers it a tight fit. I should stop now. I'm not sure what you would call this song. It's not country and it's barely EDM, it's not heartfelt and it doesn't make me want to dance. In other words, this song fills no notable purpose and comes off like a waste of space.
We could break it in if you know what I mean. Put some miles on it. We're too young to drown. Deep and dirty waters full of.
I still remember back in 2018 when some hip-hop fanboys left some hate comments on my worst list because I included a Drake song. It may have taken 6 years for the world to catch up, but I'll accept your apologies.
I was really trying to keep it PG. I was really trying to keep it PG.
I'll be frank with you, if I had a choice of which Drake song from the Kendrick beef I'd put on this list, I would pick The Heart Part 6, as that song is just gross and morally reprehensible. But to my surprise, that song didn't chart at all, which I think is the most telling sign that Kendrick had thoroughly won, as not even Drake could astroturf it into the Hot 100. But this is a video about hit songs, so if I had to choose one to represent all the Drake diss tracks, it would be Family Matters, which is not the kill shot that he hoped it would be.
When you put your hands on your girl, is it self-defense cause she bigger than you?
Drake makes accusations of Kendrick beating his fiancée, which comes out of nowhere as he doesn't say anything to back it up. Now, I know what the Drake stans would say. Well, Kendrick called Drake a pedophile without evidence, so it's fair game. The difference is that Drake has notoriously had suspicious behavior around young women for years, so Kendrick had public evidence to pick from. Even worse is that Drake's eventual response to the claims in the Heart Part 6 ended up being worse than we could have imagined.
If I was fucking young girls, I promise I'd have been arrested. I'm way too famous for the shit you just suggested.
Again, I wish I could go through all of the Heart Part 6 to tear it apart, but the main thing I want to point out is that Drake says he can't be a pedophile because he's too famous to get away with it. Okay, first, what the fuck world does he live in to say famous people can't get away with crimes? Did he not pay attention to 30 years of Diddy? Being famous is exactly why he can get away with shit, because having power and influence is enough to shut people up, especially when the victims are young women. In addition, I'm too famous is not only terrible from a logical standpoint, but from a moral one as well. As a defense, it fails to make you look sympathetic since it just comes off as bragging. I don't know if Canada has an equivalent to the Fifth Amendment, but even if you think Drake is innocent, his response might as well be self-incrimination. Drake was trying to ruin Kendrick's The Heart series by calling his song Part 6, but recently Kendrick ended up releasing the real Heart Part 6, whose existence will forever highlight just how bad and embarrassing Drake's version was. I've heard people say that the feud was still good for Drake in the sense that it got him to put effort into his music again, but honestly that makes me even more disappointed because his good stuff is still filled with shit like this.
Weekend music getting played in all the spots where boys got a little more pride. That's why all your friends dip into Atlanta paying just to find a tour guide.
Now this is just straight up homophobic. Drake clowns The Weeknd because his music is supposedly more popular in gay crowds, but is that supposed to be a diss? The Weeknd helped write your classic albums, Drake, yet now you're saying he sucks because gays like his music while you're better because gays don't like it? Family Matters is just a terrible song in general, but this entire spot on the list is a referendum on Drake as a whole this year. People let him get away with bullshit for too long that it took Kendrick calling out the obvious for people to realize. As I'm recording this, it's come out that Drake is threatening legal action against UMG and Spotify for promoting Kendrick's Not Like Us, which just shows how thoroughly Kendrick dominated Drake in this war. I'm sure Drake will probably recover despite the allegations because, again, he's famous enough to get away with it, but if he wants people to listen to his next album, don't make horrible samples of Hey There Delilah.
Walk on Delilah, no I'm late cause there's bad traffic. I just showed my dog a gram, he said he knows a man that slapped it, I'm so cheap.
It's not Drake.
You're looking sweet.
It's crazy that everybody thinks that it's real.
See, even the plain white tees hate it.
They hired a crisis management team to clean up the fact that you beat on your queen. The picture you painted ain't what it seemed. You did.
We're too young to drown. Deep in dirty waters full of.
For my number one, I chose the song that I felt gave me nothing to latch onto. The one that was not only terrible on its own, but also gave me no major positives to point out. As much as I'd love to put Drake at number one, at least he sounded more engaged than he had been for the last 6 years. I can't say the same about this artist.
Think you the shit, bitch? You not even the fault. I be going hard.
Sometimes I'm a very simple person. I'm not into toilet humor, so any jokes about literal shit or farts immediately turn me off. So just from the title alone, I knew I wasn't going to like this, but wordplay aside, the music and performance are just colorless and stale.
And I'm keeping one tuck. I make me some jams.
I guess to some people this beat sounds like a banger, but to me it sounds very flat and repetitive with no clear musical direction. It's like it wants to be an kind of song, but with half the instrumentation and 8% of the energy. About a year ago, I was wondering if I was maybe misunderstanding Ice Spice's appeal and that her monotonous tone was an intentional artistic choice, but the more I listen to her music, the more I think she's just naturally that boring. At least 21 Savage uses his monotonous voice to represent how jaded he's become by the harsh realities of the streets. Ice Spice is trying to make bops and appear on pop songs, so her rapping in lowercase doesn't fit at all and dampens the vibe. Even without the lyrics, this song was already tired and uninspired, but adding the poop joke just makes the unpleasant feeling linger like a clogged toilet. I don't like when Lil Wayne makes poop jokes as well, but even in his shitty attempts, pun intended, his songs sound aesthetically gross, which isn't much better, but at least you can argue it's immersive? I can't even say thank you the shit fart grosses me out. It just leaves me puzzled asking weird questions.
Think you the shit, bitch? You're not even the fart.
You ain't even the fart? I get it. I guess that means farts are a lower tier than shit. But what about sharts? Would the hottest girl say she's the shart? I Spy seems to have thought about this topic a lot. Did she write this from experience? If this song had any intention of grossing me out, it wasn't the loud kind of fart, but the silent kind that sneaks by you yet leaves a violent stench after the fact. And that's why, despite the lack of grandiosity, Thank You the Shit Fart is my #1 worst hit song of 2024. Thank you for watching. For those of you who are new to my channel, I make videos about 2000s pop music as well as modern music from time to time. However, if you want to suggest 2000 songs for me to review, you can join my wonderful patrons on Patreon. For just $1 per video, you can join my patron-only Discord server where we chat and chill, and at $2 per video, you get to vote on what songs I review for my series 2000s Childhood Pop. At $5 per video, you get to be listed in my Names of Fame, and at $10 per video, you get a personal shout through the heart along with Casey Vellante, Jason Semler, and Prideful Zella. For my patrons watching this around release, you can click the link below to help vote on what song I'll review for the next patron-voted 2000s Childhood Pop episode. Once again, I'm Mr. 96. If you want to see more pop reviews, click the subscribe button below and tap that bell to be notified when I drop a new episode. By the way, I've deleted my Twitter account and have now made the jump to Blue Sky. I don't know how well this will age, but Twitter is just an irredeemable disaster now. Next will be the top 5 best hit songs of 2024, and the 2025 season will kick off with the top 5 most average hit songs of 2024. Pop songs may come in numbers, but there's only one, 96.
너의 그 말